All right, the Giants wrap up their season against the Cowboys on Sunday at MetLife Stadium, but everybody right now is obviously talking about the list of potential coaching candidates that they could interview and potentially hire to replace Brian Daboll. So let's have a little fun here. We're going to go through some of the names on the list with my guy Bobby Skinner, host and founder of the Giants Nation show. What's up, my man? Happy New Year, bro.
Happy New Year. We, just put out our final preview of the year. Game Sunday. It's a long grind, but we're finally getting to the part that I think a lot of Giants fans are looking forward to, which is the end of the season and finding out who that next head coach is.
Yeah, this new year, 2026, is a lot of people hitting the reset button in their own personal lives and within their own Giants fandom and content creation as well, because this season hasn't lived up to the hype that we all thought it was going to be. So luckily, we're not talking quarterbacks right now. We're only talking a potential head coach. So here's how we did this, Bobby. We separated into 3 tiers. I got the former head coaches, obviously the hot coordinators or the it coordinators right now, and then we'll go with some of the wild cards. For the head coaches, former head coaches, you've got Mike McCarthy, Antonio Pierce. We also have Vance Joseph on there, and I believe the last one, Mike Kafka. Obviously, he's interim head coach right now. Let's start with McCarthy, man, and we can just go down this list. Let's chat it up. Any of these guys you think would be the best bet for the 2026 New York Giants?
Out of this group, I think McCarthy is the one that stands out to you, right? He's hired very good coordinators in the past, which is such a huge part of being a head coach, is hiring the correct people. He did that with Dallas with Dan Quinn to, handle his defense and turn that defense around after it was a struggle his first year. Offensively, they found success. Now, granted, he has had Aaron Rodgers and Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb to do it. We have a little bit of familiarity with that type of offense with Ben McAdoo, where it's a lot of isolation routes. Malik Neighbors would work well in that. But it also is very clear and defined reads for a young quarterback who probably is going to need some of that in his year 2. So out of that group, McCarthy seems like the best bet, even though I don't think McCarthy inspires any Giants fan to think we're going to have some, top 5 head coach in the NFL.
Yeah, and when it comes, I'm with you. He's the safest choice because of that experience and the success that he has. But I worried at his age and how he's kind of been around the block a little bit. Will his message relate and fire up a locker room, especially with the Giants team that has such a young core? Does Abdul Carter know who Mike McCarthy is? Does he respect an older coach like that? That's what I would be worried about when it came to a Mike McCarthy. But again, the safest choice out of all of them. But I want to go with the wild card former head coach here, a guy who obviously I got a little biased with. Antonio Pierce, 9-17 in 2 seasons with Vegas. But I think we can both agree, Bobby, he never really got a shot to be evaluated because, surprise, surprise, he never had a QB1. Aiden O'Connell was this guy's QB1. I feel as though when it comes to Antonio Pierce, with his familiarity and success that he's had with this franchise, that's the closest you're going to get when we talk about a modern or a remixed Giants way. Because you don't want to go back to the 90s and the 80s. You want to, kind of progress and go forward, and that's something Antonio Pierce could do with bringing back a little bit of the old school, but remixing it and then having the new 2026 and on Giants way.
My only worry with that is Antonio Pierce was one of my favorite players from that team. I also, since the Giants have gotten so bad, I almost root for them not to hire Giants because I don't want to have any bad feelings about the guys that, had the last bit of winning here with this team.
Yep.
But it's just kind of like what the resume, like you said, he didn't get a chance for the Raiders, but it was also like, the Raiders kind of bought into that interim coach juice, which usually ends up biting teams in the rear.
Yep.
So it's like, all right, what did you, like Karen Brasillo, the Giants' best position coach, the guy we all want returned, the offensive line coach, Antonio Pierce said, I don't want you a part of my staff. I'm not bringing you back. So it's just he hasn't got his opportunity at quarterback, but he's also never called defensive plays. I just have a hard time buying into the guys where I can't put together a list of like, here's the 10 things that you're going to do well. Maybe I get in an interview with him and I feel a lot better. But from the outside looking in, if he was a great linebacker just for, The Denver Broncos, I don't know if I'd be, looking to get Antonio Pierce.
Vance Joseph, do you spin the block? I know he didn't have success that we would want someone like that to have the first time he was a head coach, but he's been under Sean Payton the last 3 years, and Denver's defense has shown to be a problem solver, and that's exactly what the Giants need. Too many holes on that defense. You think Vance Joseph could be a guy that comes in and gets this ship righted?
It really depend on like what he's thinking offensively, because I think even though defensive coordinators have been top of this list, I think Jackson Dart's development should be the priority for the New York Giants. And if they get the right person there, that can lend itself to leadership and CEO style. Because I mean, I just temper myself on guys who first head coaching stint went really bad, right? It's not everyone's going to have a great first coaching stint, but when it goes really bad, I question if like you just may not be fit for the head coach role like you are a coordinator role. So I'm all for a retread, but I want your first stint to have like some moderate success, and he didn't have any.
Last big name on this list, Mike Kafka. I know he's interim head coach right now. He'll still interview. I like Mike Kafka. I like what he's done in terms of the development of a Jackson Dart, as you said, which is going to be a focal point for this hiring. But the thing that's hurting Mike Kafka right now is he just didn't do or win enough as interim head coach. Like he didn't have that upset or that shocking win that really gets you considered and gets your name out there. But would you still kick the tires on Mike Kafka as a potential head coach?
Absolutely not. I wouldn't even consider him as offensive coordinator. It's not because I think he's a bad OC. The Giants are pinning all their issues on coaching. Then they need new coaches, right? And they're going to hire a head coach. He needs to bring in his own coordinators. Like you said, even if they went 4-3, I don't think I'd be on this train at all, even though there would be buzz around it. If all your issues are stemming from coaching, then that means you need a total overhaul and not just looking for answers within the building.
All right, so let's go to the coordinators because, I mean, out of this list that Jordan Raanan put out there that we're talking about right now, if you guys, you guys watching, I feel like the coordinators are the most exciting picks when it comes to who could come in and be this new guy. And I didn't know about Rams defensive coordinator Chris Shula until Jay Glazer said something about him, about a month and a half ago. Went and did my due diligence. When we talk about, remember January 5th, 2025, so almost a full year ago, when John Mara was talking about what he didn't want to see from a defense in 2025, and that's teams go up and down the field, I believe he said. Rams defense right now, rush defense, ranked 13th by Fox Sports. They're only allowing about $112 rushing yards per game. But the biggest thing, their defensive line, PFF has them ranked 4th in the league on that defensive line. And when we're talking about the Giants defense underachieving, it's the defensive line outside of Brian Burns. So a guy that's from this Sean McVay tree, which I feel as though is going to develop into that whole Bill Belichick tree, is going to be that new school tree where coaches go on and get head coaching jobs. We've seen it already with a couple of coordinators that he's had. Liam Cohen, I believe buddy up in Seattle, McDonald, forget his first name. He's a head coach now. If he gets the right offensive coordinator, do you think this could be Chris Shula's job to lose?
I do. He's obviously the grandson of Miami Dolphins legend Don Shula. And there's, rumors that McVay has really groomed this guy to be a head coach. And I love the Sean McVay tree, right? Sometimes with these coaching stuff, you're making educated guesses on this. But if there's a tree, if someone asks, what tree do you want to pull from? Sean McVay. You mentioned Kevin O'Connell, Liam Cohen was there. And there's another offensive guy that's slipping my mind right now. But even Raheem Morris, who, a retread coordinator. The Atlanta Falcons certainly are not good. I think they're 7-9 right now. Their defense is very good, and they don't have an answer at quarterback, right? I put that more on the general manager of signing Cousins and then drafting Michael Penix. So, they don't even have – if they had a quarterback, maybe they are a playoff team there. So, this is the name that intrigues me the most. It pulls from the tree that I like. He's got a lot of experience. He's making the most out of a defense that's not flush with a bunch of top-tier talent. I think the stat is they only have 2 first-round picks. One is Jared Verse. The other is Emmanuel Forbes, who the Commanders threw away last year. I like the style of defenders they've brought in with Kobe Turner, Cam Kinchens from Miami at safety. He is the guy that I look at, and I know his defenses haven't been so hot lately, but he's the guy who I look at and he's like, man, he's learned under the best in Sean McVay.
And he'd be able to do more with less. I mean, you can't if you're going to be head coach. Let's stick on the defense coordinator side. If you making chicken salad out of chicken with late round picks and guys that teams are throwing away, and you still got one of the top defenses in the league, then you're a commander of men. You're a commander of leaders. And I feel as though if you can have that success in a defensive unit, then why not give a guy like that a shot as a head coach? Another defensive coordinator, Chargers DC, Jesse Minter, his name's out there as well. I like the way that ever since he left Michigan to go to LA with Harbaugh, he's had some of the top score. He had the top scoring defense in the league last year. This
no
year,
talent.
with absolutely no talent on that defense, and then this year, he's hold my beer. Chargers ranked 6th in EPA allowed, despite the schedule that they have. I think Jesse Minter is a guy that's kind of flying under the radar right now here in New York. You hear his name that could potentially go to Tennessee or whatnot, but I think Jesse Minter is definitely a guy that needs a little bit more buzz in this coaching search.
Yeah, he comes from the Jim Harbaugh tree, which hasn't like produced a bunch of people, but I produced Mike McDonald, who went from Michigan to the Ravens and now head coach of the Seahawks. You understand accountability and leadership and practice and every day. He's right up there with Chris Shula for me. I have those defensive coaches. I think those guys are 1A, 1B for me.
Next up, we have Colts defensive coordinator Lou Anarumo, former Giants DB coach. He's from Staten Island. He's been the D coordinator for 3 different franchises, and he almost had a head coaching job back when the Cardinals job was open. They ended up giving it to Jonathan Gannon. I like, but I don't love. He doesn't move the needle for me, but what about for you?
No, I feel like that would be the Giants trying to stay comfortable. His son works in the scouting department for the New York Giants. They interviewed him a couple years ago. Like you said, he was a DB coach there. He reads the New York Post, by the way. He revealed that in the quarterback series that Netflix put out. You get a reader in the head coaching staff. But there's just what does this inspire me about Lou Anarumo? I like some of his defensive mindsets of, disguising coverages, switching up what you're doing. But the reality is it hasn't led to a ton of success recently with the Bengals and the Colts.
Yep. Lastly on this list, in terms of the coordinators that we compiled, Packers defense coordinator Jeff Hafley. I was all about him at first. Jersey guy from Montville. The Packers are probably going to be a top 10 defense in the league, despite all of the injuries that they've already had to sustain. Obviously, Michael Parsons goes down. So to be able to still kind of finish top 10 and go through, injury after injury, the Giants are an injury-prone franchise. So if you're still able to have success and top-tier success with your 2s and your 3s, then I feel like that could be something that could translate over as head coach as well.
Yeah, he's had a lot of success defensively with Green Bay. I watched an interview of him. He seemed like a very smart guy, knows how to command a room. My only question mark is, I'm not asking for the world at Boston College, but why wasn't there as much success as like a Cignetti who goes to a program and builds it up? He didn't have that effect on Boston College. I'm certainly not holding it totally against him to not turning Boston College into a 10-win team. But a lot of times, when you go to the college ranks, they have that. But he's worked under LaFleur. So I think he's certainly in the conversation with those other 2 guys, Shula and Minter. I just kind of view those guys in more esteem.
My guy Cignetti with I've had success everywhere I go. Google me. I said, oh, my gosh, this dude is awesome. And the way he's got Indiana playing right now, it's absolutely out of control. I thought his name would be up for a little bit more NFL jobs, but we'll wait to see what happens with that, especially now that Marcus Freeman's headed back to Notre Dame. Let's get into these wild cards now, because I feel like maybe one of these guys actually has a shot. And if it was, my top guy would be Texans defense coordinator Matt Burke. Last season, 2024, Texans defense set franchise records for the most sacks, 49, and then tackles for a loss in the season. They also finished the year ranked second in the NFL at interceptions. Getting after the quarterback and taking the football away is what the Giants defense need from 2026 and on. I'm at least going to kick the tires on this guy.
Yeah, here's my trepidations. One, there's former overlap with Joe Shane. Is it a Joe Shane comfort hire from their time in Miami? He doesn't call plays for the Texans, and on top of that, the Texans are flush with defense. I mean, they have the best defensive end duo in the NFL, Will Anderson and Danielle Hunter. You have Derek Stingley, who's a defensive player of the year candidate. Jalen Petrie, a guy that I love, and they've done well with some of the other pieces that aren't at that top tier level. But that's what gives me a little pause because as we've went through this cycle, it's kind of look at where guys are coming from, continued success, right? Not just a year or two or whatever.
Yep.
And are they a play caller or not? And are they a play caller that is just flushed with talent, right? Is this a play caller who got a rookie quarterback and he's great in year 3, but that quarterback probably would have been great anywhere? Or is this a guy who's been doing the best with not a lot? It's not his fault that the Texans are flush with talent, but it just leaves me a lot of question marks for a guy that's not calling the plays.
Yeah, you think he could be a product of the GM? Could you could and right now you would need someone that can kind of overcome, some of the stuff from the GM per se. But yeah, definitely way to kind of throw that name out of there for me because I was all about this dude, and then you just checked and fact checked.
I may listen to him and fall in love and stuff and find some more stuff out, but the defensive coordinator doesn't call plays, and the Texans are proudly we have a simple defense. We just let our guys go out there and play ball. We play sound run defense.
All right, we got Seahawks offense coordinator Clint Kubiak, who, if you can have success with Sam Darnold, then you for damn sure can have success with Jackson Dart.
He was having success with Derek Carr last year with the Saints until they had injuries that kind of derailed that season. They put up 50 points in the first couple of games. They were humming. There's a lot of play action. He has an identity in offense, right? He comes from the Kyle Shanahan, spent time with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco, time under Stefanski in Minnesota. Played with the Saints. I thought got the most out of that team until they had to go to Spencer Rattler, a quarterback, and then it fell off a cliff. And then this year with the Seahawks, nobody expected the Seahawks to do what they did this year offensively. So the Giants, we've basically talked about no offensive minds in this list, and he's basically it with himself and Mike McCarthy. Kubiak has to be at the top of the list because I think as much as you don't just go after one side of the ball, I want offense, want defense, the best way to sustain success is finding the offensive mind who also knows how to run a team as well, too. The Sean McVays, Kyle Shanahans of the world.
Here's another offensive mind that has ran a team before. Obviously, he was fired. Cliff Kingsbury, Commanders OC, former Cardinals head coach. I love his system, man. When you watch tape on him and what he's been able to – obviously, you got Jaden Daniels. That makes you look a lot better when you're calling plays. But just the way he kind of spreads – kind of goes empty formation, still with 12 personnel, moves guys around. You never see Terry McLaurin just lining up in the same spot. I love what he does from the schematics, from the scheme standpoint of things. I think he could be great for a Jackson Dart. I just don't know if he will be great for New York overall.
Yeah, you'd want to go back and see what are some of the things that went wrong in Arizona because offensively, he did the best job that anybody did with Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
I think – when I'm looking at offensive minds, Brandon, everyone can you look at the passing game. Oh, this quarterback, and sometimes it's just so quarterback driven, and they're all running the same concepts just with different little ways, and some quarterbacks do it better. Look for creativity in the run game. That's something that Cliff Kingsbury is known for, is how he's able to create a rushing game without a lot of offensive line talent or a great running back room, and Cliff has done that consistently. So that's something I look for. The Giants. They need to build their run game. It's not all about Jackson Dart on offense.
Lastly, on this wild card list, we got Panthers defense coordinator Ejiro Evero. Joe Shane knows Panthers GM Dan Morgan very well, so he can get that kind of inside scoop on what Evero's day-to-day is like, what the preparation is like. You hear that he is well-liked and well-respected in the locker room, but that's some information Dan Morgan could give Joe Schoen. I know he's a wild card, but do you think there's a shot that they at least bring him in?
It seems like everybody likes him, but then this year's different. I feel like the Panthers defense has been like dead last in years where he's been the DCs, but like they've obviously had bad talent as well too. So I'm not saying he's a bad choice. I just worry about a guy who, I remember the Panthers preview last year. Like, this is the worst defense in the NFL, and it's not even close. I just worry of hiring a guy who's capable of that.
All right, you got anybody on your list, your particular list that I may not have thrown out there that you want to see the Giants bring in an interview?
I don't think the Giants are doing it, and I think he's been in the area. Mike LaFleur, with the offensive coordinator from the Rams, the brother of Matt LaFleur, the Packers head coach. Like I mentioned, the offensive coordinator history of the Rams, even though Sean McVay calls the plays, it's produced success. Kevin O'Connell with the Vikings, Liam Cohen with the Jags. And there was another one that's driving me crazy that I can't think, who was a coach of the year candidate. But anyways, that's going to drive me crazy. He's worked with Kyle Shanahan. I know the Jets stink is on him, but I don't blame him for not getting success with Zach Wilson. And you remember they were making T-shirts for Mike White with this guy when he was the offensive coordinator there. And I think one of the biggest mistakes that the Jets did when they brought in Aaron Rodgers was firing him and hiring Nate Hackett, and that came back to bite them very quickly. So I think Mike LaFleur with the Rams. It's going to drive me nuts that I can't remember that other Rams OC who is a really good head coach right now.
Bro, it's going to hit you when you're doing absolutely nothing.
I have a tweet about it. I'm going to search it. You got to buy me some time here.
Not even talking football, nothing. Like, it's just going to hit you when you're just sitting there chewing gum, walking your dog or something. But yeah, I'm thinking like
Matt LaFleur, his brother.
Matt LaFleur. Okay, there you go. Right,
I forgot his brother.
There you go. In-house. But either way, whichever one of these coaches, I mean, all eyes are going to be locked in from at the time the clock hits 0-0-0-0 at the Giants game. All eyes are going to lock in on who this head coach is going to be. So we're going to be talking the Giants head coaching search for a bit now. So Bobby, appreciate you hopping on with this, man. We got to get you in studio sometime soon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
All right, my guy.